Hello everyone, welcome back to my backyard. What you're looking at here is a 1952 Westinghouse OV-20 clamshell streetlight. This was the very first horizontally mounted mercury vapor luminaire ever sold. The first edition, was in 1946. And this is the second generation, which was the first one to be made out of cast aluminum, as the original version of these was stamped aluminum and looked a little different, but kind of the same outline overall. It didn't change too much. So this one is the first year, I believe, of the second generation when they started casting these instead. Has that beautiful old 50s Westinghouse logo there. Very, very, very well built fixture. And it has that unique kind of Tupperware shaped glass that most people associate with these. The original ones were kind of more of a football shape, actually. But they did offer this lens too. There were different distributions. And this one seems to be more of a squared off style, kind of like the 4109 has. They're both about the same, I would say. I've had both in the backyard. They really lit up the area about the same. This one just happens to look better and be a little bit easier to service, but 4109 is still pretty neat too. So, go ahead and pop this thing open, although honestly there isn't much to it, since it is a clamshell, of course. It has a separate reflector with 4 screws, as you can see up there, to mount it. The gasket, of course, is missing, as it is, really old. Has a terminal block / socket right there on each side. One on the top, which you can't really see. It's kind of hard to show it. And then one on the bottom, using a Iwasaki, or I guess Iwasaki, I guess is how they would say it. 400 watt clear BT37 lamp. And it's in really good shape. The way to tell the second generation is by the slip fitter. If you have the 2-bolt U-bolt style, that rhymes, like this, you have a second gen. If it's 4 bolts and they're on the bottom, it's kind of like this metal plate instead of this, then you have a third generation from 1956 or 7 to 1966 or whenever they made, something like that. They made them for about 10 years. Into the Cobra head era as a cheaper alternative, which is funny because they also sold the OV-25 EB at the same time. I guess they did OV-20 cheapest. Well, cheapest was Mercury Teardrop, then OV-20, then OV-25 EB, then OV-25. So, really happy to have one of these things. I actually had 4 at one point, but I sold the other 3. And it's in pretty good shape. Up here it says, I think it's on this side. Up here you can see, yeah, I don't know how good it's focusing because I am too short, unfortunately, to see it. But it does say Westinghouse on the top there. Not that anybody on the street would ever see it, but, it's still on there. And obviously it has that really nice latch. And it's hooked up to my trusty testing ballast here that I know 100% works because it was new old stock. Magnatech weatherproof, and since it's been outside so long, the tag is slowly fading. It's also acquiring some rusty rust, which is interesting because usually things here don't really rust, but then again, they probably didn't protect this crap. I don't care. It's meant to be outside, so it is. And lastly, before I fire it up, I want to talk about this right here. This helps to throw a little bit more of the light that you would have back behind the fixture forward, and it also prevents it from, again, pushing so much light back behind it. So it kind of throws that additional throw of light back in the front. So it's kind of cool. It actually does work pretty well at nighttime. I've seen these in person, of course, lit up, since we have a couple still on utility poles. and they do prevent a lot of the back throw from happening, so it's pretty neat. I like them a lot. This is probably my favorite clamshell ever, and it looks pretty good on this little arm here. It's the aluminum arm that my OV-400 came with, so it is a Westinghouse arm, just a little bit newer. So we'll go ahead and put this lens back up. I didn't clean it perfect, and it doesn't really matter to me as much. It's a lot cleaner than it was when I got it. It is scraped a little bit here and there, but that's okay. Here goes. Oh, sorry, it's a little bit aimed improperly there. Yeah, these eye lamps like to flicker a lot, and they take longer than most of my bulbs to warm up, even some of my other newer lamps. They're new old stock or whatever. I don't know why that is, but all my eye lamps are a lot slower on warm up. So, this is, like I said, one of my all-time favorite clamshells, if not my all-time favorite. There was one of these until somewhat recently when a car hit it in the town my grandma and grandpa used to live in, and I would see it as a kid. It was the literal first light in the actual developed part of the town, because they had a couple of lights on the main road before the town started to really be developed, and this was the first one. Not this specific light, but an OV-20 like this was the first one to be seen. And it always stood out to me because, yes, they did have other clamshells. They had Form 400s and such, but this was always unique. And it's a really nice compact size too. This is actually, which is odd for Westinghouse, the smallest medium-sized clamshell in existence, I believe. Well, okay, I think the Nepo branded clamshell is also about this size, but out of the other big brands, this is smaller than an Ovalite, an MV-131, a Pemco OHG, Pemco Style 68, a Form 400, Form 109, and trying to think of who else made a clamshell. I guess the Wheeler Boston stuff. So it was smaller than a lot of the other ones. And it's very lightweight, but it's still really well built. It's got a thick casting, quite thick actually. And the glass is, of course, its own unique footprint, but unlike the Form 109, this was replaceable. And they made the lenses up until the mid to late 70s as replacement parts. So who knows how many are out there with actually a replacement lens. I wonder if anybody ever really ordered those past the 60s to repair these, but yeah, it's pretty cool. The other neat thing about these that I forgot to mention was that they were designed for the brand new, for the time, ceramic arc tube mercury vapor lamps. Since Westinghouse invented those, they didn't have to have the arc centering magnet, but they were offered with them if you did not want to use the Westinghouse lamps, because they were more expensive than the glass arc tube medium pressure bulbs at the time. So if you, as a utility, wanted to use the AH1 lamps instead of the EH1, then you still had that ability if you ordered these with the arc centering magnet. If not, then the lamps would just not last very long at all, and you'd be spending so much more money in bulbs that you might as well buy the expensive ones at that point. So, and it's not the greatest day for filming a video, I will admit. However, I haven't done this in a while, and I want to kind of put something out on YouTube at least, so sorry about the flicker pattern there. Since it's the daytime, obviously, it's doing that. There we go. It's a little better. Oh, no, it's still going. But yeah, I'm really excited. I know I don't sound like it, it's just because I'm kind of tired a little bit and it's chilly out. But this is one of my this was one of my bucket list fixtures, and I'm really glad to have it. Part of me wishes I kept all 4 of the ones I had, because it would have been cool to have 4 of them in a row. But in the same token, I'm glad other people are able to enjoy them too. Maybe I could just have all my friends that I sold the lights to over, and they bring their lights. We can do that. But yeah, it was really cool to acquire these. And yeah, I don't have much else to say about it that I haven't already said, I guess. I actually do have all 3 sizes of these. Behind me is an OV-20 IB. Now, it's not the remote ballasted version, but it's still from the same time period. Sort of. It's a little newer. It's like 56 or 57, I guess. But yeah. Then I have an OV-60, which is the 1000 watt variant of this, which I need to get a video of, but I need to first either buy a remote ballast for it or make my own for 1000 watt, and 700 for that matter, because right now I don't have any that I could use for it that aren't exposed, and I don't really like putting exposed ballast to use out here. It's just So yeah, I guess that's really it. I think it's pretty much warmed up, and I don't really have a lot else to say about it. The hinge is really easy. The door comes off, or the glass door comes off. Fairly easy, but it still can't come off if it swings open. Although, at that point, it probably shattered the glass. It hit the arm. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll try to get more of these out soon. It's just the weather's been really not favorable for doing these type of videos, and next week it's gonna snow again, so I guess I don't know when I'll make the next video of these. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and thank you again for watching. Goodbye.